What was the missionary vision? Colonisation or something else?
There's such extraordinarily false things said about those first missionaries who came to New Zealand. We're sometimes told that they were the agents of some colonial strategy to seize New Zealand. This could not be further from the truth. The simple fact is that in the early years, the missionary hopes were to keep British settlers out of New Zealand. And their best way of doing that was for some kind of missionary kingdom, which would be like what was created in Tahiti. See, in Tahiti, under the influence of the missionaries, there had come about, under a great chief called Pomare, the creation of a native kingdom that had united the country of Tahiti and created for it, with the missionaries as advisors, an independent state that was trying to live by Christian law. The missionaries in New Zealand knew a lot about that story. And it's quite clear that their hope is, by overcoming Maori warfare and by strengthening a strong sense of community, that there will be a real possibility of a united Aotearoa. But of course, it didn't work out that way. There's growing tension and warfare between the Bay of Islands, now armed with guns, which unfortunately some of the early missionaries had supplied. Missionaries found themselves intervening repeatedly to bring peace, to step between the tribes in warfare situations. But I think the expansion of the gospel, and especially from the early 1830s, as missionaries were planted right around the North Island, completing that exercise in the early 1840s, that did help bring about a greater unification of Maori tribes. But by then there was a new factor involved. This new factor was a plan by Edward Gibbon Wakefield in England to create a place in the South Seas for the surplus population of Britain to be planted in a kind of reproduction of British society. The missionaries were horrified from the moment they heard about that. They opposed it with everything they could. They managed to clip some of the plans of Wakefield. But when the government showed a willingness to allow something to take place, then only did they press not for colonisation, but for the creation of some kind of British intervention that would keep the peace. So to come back to the general question, I think it's completely false to say that the missionaries wanted this intervention. It does not come for 25 years, and it only comes as circumstances change and the missionaries think this is the only way out of a potential fratricidal war that may go on.